undressed or dressed
every
in front of
family's
each other?
different,
Right.
but there are ages that we kind of tend to congregate around, but we'll find out in the discussion.
Okay, so again, Tracy Humphrey. I'm also a meteorologist here. This is my daughter. I have one daughter, Julian. I'm a single mom, and I did breastfeed. So, and I had a lot of family members who were like, "Why are you doing that? Why don't you? How you know how much milk she getting? Well, maybe you need to use." Yeah, I got a lot of backlash.
Really?
And so, yeah. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. I don't want to throw my entire family underneath the bus, but I don't think they're watching, so okay. And visiting us today.
Oh, you can think that. You'll find out. You can think that.
I'll get the email later.
My name is Lori Hawkins, and I have a family of 5. So I have 3 kids. I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I have, this is my family here, the guy to the right of me with the bow tie is my son, Jalen, and he is 14 and a half. He just graduated from 8th grade. That's the picture we took there. In the middle is my beautiful daughter, who is 16, who does drive a car. And that can be a little scary. And then the last one there is Brendan, and he is 11 years old, and he's going into 5th grade. And then my lovely husband there, Keith.
So I have to say, Lori's my neighbor, so that's how we know each other. So I said, "Oh, Lori, you're a mom. Come on, I want your opinion." So that's why Lori is joining us here today.
Okay, and I'm Monica, and I'm noticing that I needed to brush my hair. That's why I'll catch myself on a glimpse. I'm like, geez, so clearly I'm a mom, right? All right, haven't we all been through that? All right, here is my family. And surprisingly, Lori, we kind of have the same dynamics. I've got a 16-year-old who doesn't drive. You're welcome to anybody joining us right now. And then a 14-year-old, so the oldest, Abby, she's 16. Kelly is 14, and then Joseph is 12, and then my husband's in the Red Sox gear, matching his son in the Red Sox gear. We are not allowed to root for anybody else except for Boston.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a really cool movie clip that we're going to show you guys to kind of get us into the discussion. So let's take a look.
Mommy, I want some milk.
Oh, sure, Angel. Come here. I'll give you a little something. Slow down, honey. Your son is so cute.
Yeah.
How old is he?
Oh, he's 48 months. That's 4. Yeah.
Okay, so that is
One of my favorite movies.
A little extreme, but it kind of gets us into the conversation because there are a lot of social norms. There's a lot of opinions that people have when you start talking about breastfeeding. When should you start? How long should you breastfeed? And a lot of times it has to do with the mom's schedule. Is she going back to work? Is she going to be a stay-at-home?
Yeah.
So let's just get this started. How old is too old to breastfeed? Is there an age or whatever works for the family?
Okay, now clearly, I've got a lot of strong opinions on this. I'm about to mansplain really hard. No, look, there's obviously one thing different about this panel, which is that I'm a man, but through our experience as a family, my wife was able to breastfeed pretty early, right after she gave birth. So it wasn't really, some women struggle with physically being able to do it, and they may want to do it, but their body may have a different idea, and that carries with it a lot of emotions, feelings of guilt, because we felt with every hospital experience, it increased the amount of pressure, I would say, discussions, directness about the importance of breastfeeding. You really need to be doing this, scheduling time right after birth to be able to do this versus, it used to be the baby would come out, they do all the tests right away and get all that sort of stuff done for procedure. But they schedule, at least at the hospital we were at, they schedule time for skin to skin and to try and nurse as quickly as possible.
Straight to the boob.
For that hospital experience, so with their research and staff, that's something that they felt was very important. The question now is, when do you start weaning them off and moving on to other things? And that's got to be different for every family.
Well, I think that speaks to the stigma issue, that they're trying to get past the stigma, but yet in public, there's still this, oh gosh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt kind of thing. And then it's, how old is that kid? So the stigma, maybe you've been a part of that, and you go, I don't even know if I want to start this or not. Now, truth be told, I nursed all my kids. We had a cow station, I swear. We had like a milking facility because my kids were close together. So at one point, my husband's just like, can we get our freezer back at some point? Because I just kept storing. But I even was thinking of donating because I was a way over producer, and so they were. Yeah,
now,
for,
Monica, a lot of women have difficulty. The fact that you were over producer is a blessing.
That's what I'm saying. So when I came in, my son was in NICU, and I came in with all these bottles that I had pumped, and they're like, oh, okay. I said, so this is for morning. I'll do again for in about 3 hours. They're like, this is like for 2 days. I said, oh, I know. We got a whole freezer full. So it didn't happen to work out because I did want to help people. But again, it's that stigma that happens particularly in the United States.
Well, tell me that you had a really good statistic earlier we were talking about before the show went on about.
Let me get my old lady glasses on here, people.
Statistic you can paraphrase because it's so important.
Oh, here it is. Globally, only 40% of infants under 6 months of age are exclusively breastfed, and the problem with that is that. Perhaps there are women that can do it, but just feel that, I don't know, I don't want to be a part of the looks and the, I don't know what's going on here. But it helps in so many ways to decrease the issues with diarrhea and some of the globally more infectious diseases because the immune system goes up. But again, it's hard because I feel sorry for the women that are like, I wanted to do it, but I couldn't do it. Oh, real quick story. I'm sorry, I've been talking so much, but this is hilarious. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I'm married to Walt Gray. So it was our second kid in the hospital. We didn't know what blood type she was, and I asked, and she was A. I was O, and I said, oh, my husband must be A. He said, no, I'm not. So he goes and gets his baby book. Well, he found out he was A, but he also found out he wasn't breastfed. He lost it. He was like, why didn't you breastfeed me, Mom? How don't you know that's best for the baby? Oh my gosh, what kind of long-term effects am I going to have? I was like, whoa, dude, like, it's okay. You're like in your 40s. You're good.
You made it. You're all right.
I understand the importance of it, though, but I think a lot of it has to do, too, with having a plan, right? So before I had my daughter, I knew I was committed to it. So I took the classes. I had the number of a lactation specialist. So I went through all of the pros and cons, right? My family, deeply Southern, and I was not breastfed. I was on formula. My mom said to me, she just kept saying, how do you know how much the child is getting? How do you know when the baby's fussy? Did you feed her enough? How do you know? And so, of course, I went back to the lactation consultant, and you literally put the newborn on a scale before you feed them.
Yeah,
you take it off, and you see how many more ounces they weigh, and that's technically how much they have gotten. And so for me, when I was breastfeeding, I was like, okay, this is going okay, but I realized my diet and stress level was impacting my breast milk. So I started doing fenugreek, I think it's a type of herb you can do, more peanut butter, trying to drink more liquids. All of that had to do, for me, with milk production. And dude, when my milk came in, I had cousins who traveled from out of town who wanted to see how big my boobs were because I didn't have like really large boobs. And they were like, we hear you got boobs. I was like, okay. And then they were huge. And so, of course, I'm from the South. My mom gives me cabbage leaves to put on the boobs to help with the pain.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they were so, and I'm like, no one told me that every time I moved, I would be in pain. But eventually, once my body got accustomed to how much milk I needed, and then it kind of went down a little bit.
The body does.
Well, did you breastfeed or were you?
I did. I breastfed all my kids, and to speak to that, some women can't. I struggled at first with my daughter in the hospital. I remember being there, and I'm thinking, oh, I can do this because I was committed. I'm gonna breastfeed. My mom breastfed me, and my daughter didn't latch, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I didn't have milk coming in.
She's over there. How dare you?
Yeah, I had a C-section, so I think that didn't exactly jumpstart the whole breastfeeding process, which is a natural response to the baby being born. So it took a little bit. So I was like, I had to start her on this formula that, whatever, and then I thought, well, now she's not going to come back to me. She won't she won't latch because she's already had, and so I had a lot of fears. But you know what? I stuck to it. It worked. It was fine.
By the second two,
second two, I was better at, it is something you learn. You really do learn how to teach your child how to latch, as well as you teach yourself how to, provide in the right way so that their mouth can figure it out.
Yeah, I had a hard time stopping. I will admit.
Yeah, it is a special time. Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Because they're moving on.
And I was it was very successful from the get-go for me. So for me, it wasn't this, man, I just can't wait for this to be over. It was hard. I sympathize with people who are like, they're almost 2, and
how about when they're 9, Monica?
You got stats on that?
I got stats. Okay, so just quickly, we want to do but I'm going to talk about a mom who breastfed until her daughter was 9 years old.
Okay.
So the American Academy of Pediatrics does recommend exclusive breastfeeding for about 6 months, alongside introducing complementary foods for 1 year or longer. Check this out. The World Health Organization recommended exclusive breastfeeding for about 6 months, alongside, again, those complementary foods for 2 years or longer.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
So there's
that's
a
difference,
mom
yeah.
in England who actually breastfed her daughter until the age of 9. Her take on it was she wanted her daughter to self-wean. So I immediately thought, okay, there's so much more to this story. And there is a little bit more. She has 3 other children. Check out their ages. She's a 30-year-old, she had a 28-year-old, and a 12-year-old. With the 12-year-old, she had difficulty breastfeeding. So she made a commitment that she was definitely going to do it with the final. And it seems to me maybe she just went a little bit longer than most, giving views and opinions, because maybe she overcompensated for not being able to breastfeed really well with the third.
Right. There may be other things going on there, because that's obviously when we heard about this and we see the photos, most of us have never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
No,
And that's why it was in the thing. By the way, a couple comments coming in. Just so you know, we are watching your comments, and I'm going to read some of them. We've got hello from Maui. That's awesome. We're jealous, but keep watching. And then get to the beach, please. We've got some men on here. Chris, hello. What's up? And Angel, to your point, Lori, had a C-section. My daughter would have starved if she did not introduce formula.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it doesn't say that, but because of the C-section. So there is, and also, Anne, I pumped milk for 10.5 months. It was hard, but I don't ever regret it. And I'm going to get to some comments we had earlier because we posted this. We've got 5 here that I'll go through. Because the original question is, how old is too old? So we understand the importance, we understand the struggle, but at some point there's an age when people basically say, okay, it's time to move on to something else. So first up, Michelle S. says, 2.5 years of nursing each of my girls. I'm seeing 2 a lot in this, either from the official word from the WHO or from individuals themselves. Melody says, I tried with all 5 of my kids, but it didn't last long. I also want to add that I myself was breastfed until I was almost 4.
Oh, wow.
Here's an extra point. And still has memories of it. LOL, nobody wants those memories as an adult. So for Melody...
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Oh my God.
I didn't either.
Right,
That was
because
pretty
you
good,
start
Melody.
to remember things around 3 or 4. So for Melody,
That is a
maybe
great
mom was into it,
perspective.
but now looking back, Melody feels like that
Maybe
might have
not
been
so
too
much.
old.
But she still tried it with her.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I've got a
yeah.
couple more. Diana, a coworker, brought her 2.5-year-old into a staff meeting. The child started unbuttoning mom's blouse and began breastfeeding right there. So
At a staff
maybe
meeting?
public, maybe 2.5 is too old.
Yeah.
For Biani, 4, and she's one healthy, strong kid. There's no shame in that.
I like
Remember,
that.
exactly, we all have our own path. So we are just sharing our opinions and experiences. And then for Nicole, it was over when the sharp teeth came in. Ouch.
She's like,
I can say amen to that.
yeah, so I just want to say, like, I understand you probably wanting to go a little longer, especially if you are a great producer, maybe you're at home, you're supplementing, you're like, okay. I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not you should continue feeding the child at the breast versus pumping and giving them a sippy cup.
Yeah.
You know, and then allowing them to transition that way.
I think at that point it becomes that bonding.
Okay.
I don't think after 2 years old there is really much nutritional benefits
that's
to it.
true.
So pumping really I don't think is what the ultimate goal is for
So you think it's
people.
truly the bonding?
It is.
Oh,
I believe
I do, yeah.
For both, for baby and for mommy, because that's the time, you know, life gets crazy and you're doing things, and that's a moment in time where there's eye contact.
I think when
and
you
there
pick up
is
the
bonding.
cell phone and you're still nursing and you're trying to follow your
That's what it is.
No, I would say that we're
It's like-
constantly double, you know, we always trying to multitask. And I would always say breastfeeding was the only time. And I had kids, you know, 16 years ago, so there wasn't a lot of phone use and all this stuff.
I'm saying for the kid to pick up the
Oh, yeah, no,
phone.
yeah, that's true.
Get a selfie.
But it was the only thing I could do. When I was breastfeeding, I was breastfeeding.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing dishes.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing laundry. I wasn't trying to do anything else because I couldn't. You're busy. Your body is taken up.
But it
So it
doesn't
is a
leave
one-on-one time.
It doesn't leave a lot of room for dad, though. That's the only thing, right? The longer you
Yeah, that's
breastfeed,
But
dad's
when
kind
they
of
get to 1.5, it's so quick.
Yeah.
I mean, they are efficient.
Yeah, I never got that far. My daughter started walking and she was out.
I fought through the teeth, people.
There is a beneficial release of hormones that can help women. And I just remember this one experience here at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Everyone should go. We were having one of those things. Everybody was melting down. She said, "I need to feed the baby." They had a special feeding room that was quiet and nice, with the movie of a jellyfish going on. This is what she described, and she was in there forever. And I was with the other one. And I'm like, "Is everything okay?" She was just relaxed. She said, "That was really nice."
It was peaceful.
Yeah, for both of them. So the baby was calm. She was calm. Everyone had a good day. So there's lots of benefits, aside from just the, just drinking milk.
Yeah. Okay, so that was our first big topic. So our second topic, I'm transitioning to Rob. You had a good one too now.
Oh my gosh, you guys, my house is crazy. And one of the times that I am really in charge is bath time. Okay. So again, the topic is when is it too old, and when should siblings stop bathing together? So, when should kids stop bathing together? And here's some of the things that we got time and time again.
Okay.
When the kids ask to stop bathing together.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the kids start to notice their differences in body parts, especially male and female, right? At age 5 and 6, bathing together should end. These are some comments that we got when we put it out there earlier. And when the mother follows her instincts and feels like it should not happen anymore. So what do you guys think?
So here's the thing. I may be a little bit more European in this thought. I don't mind children. It doesn't bother me when a girl or a boy recognize different body parts, because I think adults tend to sexualize body parts.
Yeah.
I think for them it's just a part.
Right.
And I like the fact of a child knowing what their body and what encompasses their body, and boys have this and girls have that. And I think they leave it alone after that point. I think we bring in our preconceived notions. Now, of course, as they get to a certain age, body parts may mean something differently. But on the surface, it doesn't bother me as much unless, they're a little too handsy. And then you might be like, okay, well, you're supposed to be bathing. What are y'all doing?
Then that's a different topic. That's a whole other thing.
Right.
So I had one who, let's see, they're about a year and a half apart. So my middle and my youngest, they were bathing. She was about 2 and he was 6 months.
Okay.
And I turned around to grab something and I hear him going, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I thought he slid. And I see my daughter hanging on to his male part. And I said, hey, hands to ourselves.
Right.
Hands to ourselves. And she said, why don't I have one of those? And I said, well, honey, he's boy, you're a girl. She's like, well, that's just not fair. That is not fair. And I said, well, what are you doing? She goes, well, I'm trying to take it off and I want to put it on. And I'm like, yeah, she's about to turn 16, so we're going to keep a close eye on that one. But I'm not kidding you. So, I mean, these are really young, but for her, I said, for right now, you do not have that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to put that out there that you won't have that because current technology would allow that. But it's like, no, that's just how you are right now. And she's like, well, I just don't think that's fair. I said, well, you are going to have things that he won't have.
Yeah.
So, really? Okay, well, I'm looking forward to that. I said,
and that serves to your point that they really are just parts. Like there's no,
just parts, right?
Yeah, there's no connotations behind it. It's like, hey, wait a minute, you have a toy I want. Give me that.
Exactly.
They look at it the same way at that age.
Yes.
So you had an older girl and 2 boys.
Did,
so what was your family dynamic like? When
it's just adorable when you just throw them all in the bath together and you have a bunch of bubbles and they got toys and they're playing and we did that for many, many years. And then I think it was kind of like, okay, your sister's turn, now it's the boys. And the boys still jumped in and bathed together. But it's hard to say. I think when they notice that they're different, maybe that's a time where you go, like when they start going to school and they're around other kids and they start talking and they start realizing, maybe more than just their little close-knit family group.
A couple quick comments. We've got Marie Miley. She says when the siblings start noticing each other's body parts, then you have to do it separately. And then a bunch of people, Steven says 24.
Okay.
Hey, look, with every sharing of opinions, there's got to be the high bar. That would be it. And a lot of people still commenting. Cindy, we see your comment about breastfeeding, said that she wasn't able to do it. She was anemic. other women were mean, actually shaming for not doing it.
yes,
So
yes,
that's a
yes.
topic that resonates a lot.
And then it goes the other way, that they shame or they want to, you know, do things and look and when the kid is too old, perhaps. And so,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
There's so many social, you know, if you took out the social dynamic, I think a lot of parents might do things differently. You know, and I'm one of them. I think so much about what others are thinking. You know, you send your child off and they go to school and you're like, oh, I hope she doesn't tell that story. Oh, I hope she doesn't do this. You know, sometimes I wonder if we could just put ourselves in a little box and not hear the outside noise. How our families might be a little different. Because
for sure.
thinking about that a lot.
Right, and because, you know, even with these comments, there's things that they wanted to do, and then the outside world is always, there's one thing about this show that we, I think, knew, but also are relearning again and again, is that every family is different, and we do it differently, and it's really, you got to be in a tough position to really think that your way of doing it is somehow superior.
Yeah, better than others.
Because everyone's different. These kids are different. These family dynamics are different. So, you know, we're all learning from each other, because there might be someone in these comments and you might think that you're alone, and then you hear a comment and you say, I'm not alone, because I do that too. So let me have some more comments and then we'll discuss this a little bit more.
Okay.
So we've got Jeannie. We are definitely on the older end. Our two boys, 5 and 6.5, still bathe together. We do not make a big deal about being naked.
Okay.
We've got Alexandre, who says, the kids will let you know for sure. My 4-year-old nephew does not allow his 8-year-old sister to see him naked anymore. So the kids have decided. He says, I'm a boy, go away.
Wow.
Michelle B says, when they start asking questions, but you will know though. And Sarah says, I personally think it depends on the kids. I had mine before. Had mine been more tame, we probably would have gone another year or two. And good question. I just had 2 of my grandkids here, and they showered with them together. Boy 5, girl 7. And I wore a swimsuit. We have a huge shower. So, grandparents chiming in. You know, it's just tough. But I do think that, you know, when kids notice body parts, that's actually a good moment. You need to have that moment.
You do.
In my family, we use the real words. We don't have like nicknames for the
I'm
body
on the fence
parts.
about that.
And trust me, when my son yells out the real word at a store, it's a little weird. It's a little awkward. But you know what? And he does it because he knows we get a reaction. Because he's just, don't say that. So he's going to do it again and again. That's just his stage. But at the same time, we feel like it's important because you shouldn't be. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And in life, they're going to have that moment, if you use the other words, where they're going to be like, well, wait, I thought it was this, and I thought it was this. So just you know, having that word immediately from the get-go, sort of just takes the whole mystery away from everything.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, my question was, when do I undress or not undress in front of my child?
Oh
right?
yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
Let me tell you, I got
That's a good
teenagers
one.
and it still happens. So like, there's somebody at the door. I'm like, well, tell them to wait. I'm a nudie. I'm putting it out there. I was a swimmer, and I still swim with these guys, and they change literally right in front of me. And I'm thinking, that towel drops, buddy. You're all exposed.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't care. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Well, my daughter, I told her, for full disclosure, I call it a woohoo. So I didn't know. I was like, should I give her the term vagina? Do I say woohoo? What do I say? What do you call boobs? You call them, what do you call
breasts?
Yeah.
breasts,
Yeah.
right? And so but then I read that if you don't give the children the actual word, you take away their power. So if they are in a position, and maybe an adult could be unfortunately handsy, you don't want the child to say, someone touched my woohoo. You want the child to say, someone touched my vagina.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
right, yeah.
I'm at
I
the
agree.
point now where I'm like, how do you transition from woohoo to the actual terminology?
Oh, Jules is smart. She
knows.
Oh, yeah.
She knows the terminology.
She probably does know. She'd probably know the terminology. Yeah, but and also I think that would be a great opportunity for discussion with
To
you,
have the
because I think
discussion,
she
Yeah.
likes that.
Well, she's going into
engagement.
first grade.
And she's at
and
that
I
right
see
age,
kids,
yeah.
and I'm like, I wonder, because you don't know what other parents are doing.
Yeah.
So I don't want to offend another parent by my child saying, hey, you know, my vagina, and then
Right.
it's in an entire
Yeah.
classroom.
It could, like you said, be that opportunity to talk
explain.
about, hey, now you're getting older, you're getting to do things, and I want you to know that there are safe boundaries. So we need to make sure that the words are there so you know how to explain this if it's to a teacher or a principal
Okay,
or
so
something.
now I have this question, and so if you have a child who's completely okay with their body, right?
Yeah.
And they're not naked, they're not nude, they're just body
Or an
parts.
adult.
Yeah, or an adult, right? How do
Kids
you,
of all ages.
when is it okay for your children to undress in front of other children? Because, you know, to them, like say swimsuits, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
you go
Right.
to the pool and they just take all their stuff off and they're
Yeah.
getting dressed. At what age is it okay for your first graders to be walking around just undressing in front of each
Is it
other?
all
or
girls? Or this
well, sometimes it's girls and boys because you're at the pool, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's. Oh boy,
sometimes it
that's
seems
tough.
innocuous,
I feel like-
right?
like
Because they're
that
just
school
putting on
age,
swimsuits.
yeah.
They don't care, but I'm overthinking
But
it.
they're not relatives. They're like other friends that aren't
Like,
related
you know,
to
people
you.
like, oh,
yeah.
you know, they want to run
Let's
to the
have a swim
pool, so
party
everybody
and
just
then-
starts jumping and putting their stuff
Right.
on.
Yeah.
Or do you take the time to say, oh, I need you to go in the restroom over here, and I need you to go in the
Yeah.
restroom
I
over
think
here.
they have their own level of modesty.
Yeah,
Right.
I think
Okay.
some
Alright.
kids don't even take a shirt off when they go swimming.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't even want to because they're like, oh, I don't want to, you know, wear no. And these are boys that normally would just
Yes.
take their shirt off and jump in.
Yep.
And I've noticed my kids will have friends over swimming, and the boys don't even want to take their shirts off. Yeah, they have like swim shirts. So, but yeah, I think that.
I used to bathe with my best friend until I was about 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, where are you guys now,
Well,
Mason?
you're
What's
only
going on?
you're only 6 now.
But,
And the
you know,
voice
again,
you hear is Mason. That's our floor director.
And these things, they start off as one thing with bathing, but then it evolves into this other thing too. So, you know, that the target age, I mean, we all know that there's no official target
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
It's all situational. And, you know, sometimes maybe you've got a 2-year-old, which is totally appropriate. Kids running around. I see naked
Oh, yeah,
kids
all
at the
the time.
beach all the time that
Oh,
are
so
1
cute,
or 2.
yeah.
And then to you, it's cute, but maybe there's an individual and you're not getting the vibe. And you're like, you
Yeah.
know what? No.
You know, we were at a hotel in Southern California near Disneyland, and there was a young girl there who looked to be about 8 or 9, and my family, and she had just the bathing suit bikini bottoms on,
Okay.
and she was with her dad. Maybe single dad, maybe didn't have it, maybe left it at home, but whatever
not
the
like
reason.
European where it's like
yeah,
nude
I
beaches
mean, I
or-
didn't get close enough to know if they were American. Like you said, you're a little
Yeah,
bit looser
I
with
mean-
that. But it was a little odd. I wouldn't
Really?
say it was totally. I mean, she's in a public hotel pool,
Right.
swimming with a bunch of kids and lots of families, and she wasn't 2 or 3. She was maybe 8 or 9, and so that was like, and we just said, hey, you know what, guys, hey, whatever, that's what they're
That's their
doing.
preference.
Don't
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
stare, don't
Yeah.
point, don't make her feel uncomfortable, because
Right.
she kind of looked a little uncomfortable. Like she knew
well, that's
maybe I should
unfortunate.
be more dressed, but.
Maybe she was looking at everyone else
Yes,
and realizing she was
Right.
and
the only one
realizing
that
I'm
didn't
the
have
only
a top
girl
on.
here. Yeah, I think that
Sometimes
may
you
have
don't
been
think
it.
about these situations until you're in it, and
Yes.
you pick up on vibes.
Yep.
You know,
Well,
it always
That's
hits
the
you, right?
social cues.
Really quick, a couple quick comments. We see Gail, thank you for chiming in. And for Shasta, my son just turned 8. I start to water and wash his hair. I also have to scrub his feet, and people say that he's too old for that. I feel like he won't do a good job of it, though, so that's why she wants to step in. Marie, we hear you as well. Cindy, I told my kids from 4 years on about the real names, and they didn't care about other parents having a fit because they couldn't have honest talks. So, and Leslie, we see you too. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
She's got a business where women can come together and independently work in that spot.
Oh, no,
and
that's
yeah,
cool.
and then also there's a spot to take care of, because I just want to say hi there because we appreciate you watching, and we do this show every day or every Thursday
Every
at
Thursday
10:30.
at
So
10:30.
please keep watching.
So, okay, so final comments, final thoughts. First of all, this is one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
I learned so much more about Monica today. So, any final thoughts?
So much more.
Any final thoughts that we're left with after having our open and very candid parent talk today? What do you guys think?
I think the most important thing about these topics and this show is that we got to talk about this stuff,
Yeah.
because you are not alone in how you are raising your kids, and also having the fears about doing something that would harm them or that is inappropriate that you're just not aware of. And I think with these discussions, we learn that there's a pretty wide range, and it changes on kid and situation and family, and I just enjoy reading the comments and talking about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, Lori, what about you?
I would say no one knows your kid better than you. So whatever whatever works for you, it doesn't work for everyone, and that's fine. Like, just make it work for you, make it work for your kid, their comfort level, your comfort level. They don't stay kids long. Enjoy it, right? I mean, don't stress out
right.
over every little tiny thing. Enjoy your kids. They grow up and leave you before
feeling
you
some
know
type
it.
of way, Lori?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
going
you
on?
know.
I was gonna
With
say
a 16-year-old, it's like,
I'm
oh
right
my
in the
gosh.
same boat with Lori. I realized looking back when the chaos was happening and kids like there was soap all over the walls and the ceiling, and shower curtains coming down, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. That it really does go so fast, and somehow everybody is okay in the end, regardless if they bathed together till they were 6, or only bathed together till they were 2 because they were trying to pull off their siblings' body parts. Somehow it all works because, like you said, you know your kid, you know when, okay, we're good.
Oh my gosh.
Can I add one quick thing?
Yeah, of course.
I realize in my family, now that I think back, I know that my mom cut it off, not for all these other things, just because my sister and I were just too rowdy.
Yeah,
And
like one of the comments, as soon as she said that, I went, that's right, that's when I stopped. Because I was like, that's it? You guys are not even bathing. This is a disaster in here. I've got water in the bedroom, from the bathroom. We're done. We're done.
I remember, I think the last bath, I don't know the age, but I remember we were playing this game. Do you remember that old movie, The Dark Crystal? No? Okay. Anyway, there's this chant that they do, and we were screaming and splashing, and I remember my mom coming in saying, that's it. This is over. It really was it. That was the moment. It was over. That's all.
Okay,
and
so
watch The Dark Crystal, please, so I don't feel. Now I do feel alone.
I'm so glad we had this topic. At first, when we broached the subject, you know, you don't want to offend. You want people to be open about how their family dynamic is, what they choose to do. And I'm so happy that everyone chimed in with their Facebook comments. It's probably some of the most activity we've had. And I think my takeaway has been it's okay to be on the fence about things. It's okay to ask questions to others. And, you know, and if you change your mind and you decide to do something different, all's fair, right?
Yep.
And so I've done that a little bit.
Working.
So, guys, this is going to be the end of today's segment, Three Moms and a Dad. We join you every Thursday, 10:30 live on ABC 10's Facebook page. Next week, we don't know what we're talking about just yet, but if you got a great topic, hey, send it to us. I love anything that's slightly controversial, right? I want something that pushes the envelope. So
She likes to go there.
I do kind of like to go there. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a good day.